My wife told me, "Your mom isn't invited to Thanksgiving. My family finds her embarrassing." I replied, "You're right. She won't be there." What she didn't know was that I'd already secured first-class tickets for Mom and me to Paris. My name is Daniel. I am 38, and I work as a project manager for a logistics company in Chicago. My days are structured and predictable, mostly office hours with the occasional late client call. I like routine, and I tend to handle problems directly instead of letting them build. My wife, Lauren, is 35. She works in marketing and has a more social schedule, lots of networking dinners and family events. We have been married for 6 years and own a condo together on the north side. No kids yet, just shared bills and a joint savings account. My mom, Carol, lives about 40 minutes away in a small townhouse. She is a retired school secretary. She is not flashy, not particularly polished, but she is decent and straightforward. The issue started 3 weeks before Thanksgiving. Lauren told me my mom was not invited to Thanksgiving this year. She said her family finds her embarrassing and that it reflects poorly on her when my mom talks too much about her cats or brings store-bought desserts in plastic containers. She framed it as a practical decision. Her parents were hosting. It would be easier without awkwardness. I asked what specifically my mom had done. Lauren rolled her eyes and said it was a vibe problem. She said my mom dresses outdated and asks too many personal questions. She said her sister had complained and that it would be better if my mom just skipped it this time. I told her she was right. My mom would not be there. Lauren looked relieved, almost triumphant. She assumed I had finally chosen her side without resistance. What she did not know was that I had already purchased 2 first-class tickets to Paris for the week of Thanksgiving. One for my mom and one for me. I did it the night before that conversation, and I had not told her yet. I did not buy the tickets out of spite. I bought them after something that happened the Sunday before. We were at Lauren's parents' house for dinner. Her family is polished in a very deliberate way. Her dad talks about investments. Her mom redecorates every season. Her sister, Emily, works in corporate law and makes sure everyone knows it. Conversations tend to orbit status. My mom had been invited that night. She showed up 10 minutes early with a pumpkin pie from Jewel in the original plastic dome. She wore a navy cardigan she has owned for years. She was nervous but trying. Within 20 minutes, I noticed the pattern. Lauren correcting her pronunciation of quinoa. Emily smirking when my mom talked about volunteering at her church thrift store. Lauren's mom asking pointed questions about why my mom never remarried after my dad died. My mom kept smiling. She does that when she feels out of place. At one point, she started telling a story about a student who used to bring her drawings when she worked at the school. Emily interrupted to pivot the conversation to her upcoming trip to Aspen. Lauren physically turned her body away from my mom while she was mid-sentence. On the drive home, my mom said she hoped she had not talked too much. She said she always worries about that around Lauren's family. She laughed it off, but she did not look at me when she said it. That was when I opened my laptop later that night. I did not argue with Lauren during the Thanksgiving conversation because I had already made a decision. If my mother was such an embarrassment that she could not sit at their table, then she would not be anywhere near it. Lauren thinks I agreed with her. She has no idea what I actually agreed to. For context, my mom has never once been rude to Lauren or her family. She does not drink much. She does not argue politics. She does not make scenes. The worst thing she does is over-explain stories and ask follow-up questions because she is genuinely curious. In my world, that is not a crime. Lauren sees it differently. To her, social settings are performance. You curate what you share. You signal the right things. You never look unsophisticated. The Thanksgiving conversation happened on a Tuesday night. We were in the kitchen after dinner. Lauren was scrolling through her phone while talking, barely looking at me. She said her mom had finalized the guest list, and they wanted to keep it intimate. Then she added that my mom probably would not feel comfortable anyway. I asked if my mom had been consulted. Lauren sighed like I was being difficult. She said this was about avoiding awkwardness and that I should understand how stressful hosting can be. That is when she said it directly. Your mom is embarrassing. My family notices. There was no attempt to soften it. I did not raise my voice. I did not defend my mom in that moment. I simply said you are right. She will not be there. Lauren smiled. She kissed my cheek and said thank you for being reasonable. Reasonable. Later that night, I called my mom. I told her I had some vacation days to use and asked if she had ever been to Paris. She laughed like I was joking. She said of course not. I told her to check her passport expiration date. There was a long pause. Then she asked if I was serious. I told her yes. She started crying quietly. Not dramatic crying. Just the kind you hear when someone is overwhelmed in a good way. I did not tell her why I chose that week. Not yet. Logistically, the trip was simple. I had enough airline miles to cover both first-class tickets without touching our joint savings. I used my personal credit card for the hotel. I chose a small boutique place in the 7th arrondissement, close enough to walk everywhere, but not flashy. My mom would appreciate charm over spectacle. I cleared it with my boss the next morning. He approved the time off in under 5 minutes. Late November is slow for us. There was no professional fallout to consider. What I did not do was tell Lauren. Over the next 2 weeks, she kept making small comments about Thanksgiving. How relieved her mother was. How much smoother it would be without tension. Once she joked that maybe my mom could volunteer somewhere that day, so she would not feel left out. I watched her carefully when she said that. She was not being sarcastic. She believed she was being pragmatic. One night, she mentioned that her sister had said it was brave of her to set boundaries. That was the word she used. Boundaries. As if excluding my mother from a family holiday was some act of emotional maturity. I asked her directly if she thought my mom had disrespected her at any point. Lauren paused, then said it was not about disrespect. It was about compatibility. She said not everyone fits everywhere. That sentence settled something in me. If not everyone fits everywhere, then I do not have to fit at her family's table either. I printed the flight confirmations and put them in my desk drawer at work. I also checked my passport twice. Everything was in order. The only thing left was timing. Lauren still believes Thanksgiving is proceeding exactly as she planned. She has no idea that the morning of, I will not be driving to her parents' house. And neither will my mother. The only person who knew was my mom. I drove to her townhouse this Saturday before Thanksgiving under the pretense of helping her fix a loose cabinet hinge. After I finished, I sat her down at the small kitchen table and showed her the confirmation emails on my phone. She stared at the screen for a long time. Then she asked if Lauren knew. I told her not yet. My mom is not naive. She asked the question I expected. Is this because of Thanksgiving? I did not dramatize it. I explained that Lauren felt it would be more comfortable for everyone if my mom skipped this year. I told her I disagreed with how it was handled, and instead of arguing for a seat at a table where she was not wanted, I decided to spend the holiday somewhere else with her. She did not get angry. She looked embarrassed. She said she did not want to cause problems in my marriage. She said she could stay home and heat up a frozen dinner. She has done it before. That comment decided everything for me. I told her this was not about proving a point. It was about time. I work constantly. She lives alone. We have never taken a trip together as adults. If there was ever a week to do it, this was it. She nodded slowly. Then she asked if she needed new shoes for Paris. Back at home, Lauren was on a video call with her sister, laughing. When she hung up, she mentioned they had finalized seating arrangements for Thanksgiving. She said it was going to look beautiful. I told her that sounded nice. She asked if I had told my mom yet. I said yes. I told her my mom understood. That part was true. What Lauren does not understand is that understanding cuts both ways. The days leading up to Thanksgiving felt strangely normal. Lauren ordered a new dress online for her parents' dinner. She asked my opinion on 2 pairs of heels and ultimately chose the more expensive ones. She mentioned that her mom had assigned her the responsibility of bringing a wine pairing that matched the turkey. She treated the whole thing like a curated event. She did not ask what my plans were beyond confirming that I would drive separately and meet her there after I dropped something off at my mom's place that morning. I told her that worked. Technically, it did. On Monday night, she made another comment that clarified more than she intended. She said she was glad I had not made this into a loyalty test. She said some husbands would have turned it into a dramatic standoff between wife and mother. I asked her what she would have done if I insisted my mom attend. She shrugged and said she would have supported her family. She said marriage means building a new primary unit. I agree with that in theory. But building something new does not require humiliating what came before it. I did not argue. I simply said I understood. At work on Tuesday, I received the final confirmation from the airline. Seats upgraded. Lounge access included. I forwarded the itinerary to my personal email and deleted the browser history at home later that night. Not because I was hiding an affair or anything illegal. I just wanted the reveal to happen in one clean moment. My suitcase is already half packed in the trunk of my car under a gym bag. My mom's is by her front door. Lauren believes Thursday will unfold the way she planned. She believes I chose her side quietly and without resistance. In a way, I did choose. She just has not realized what that choice actually looks like yet. Thanksgiving morning started at 6 a.m. Lauren was already awake. moving around the bedroom with the kind of purposeful energy she saves for big social days. She had a blow-dryer going and a podcast playing quietly on her phone. I showered, dressed in dark jeans and a sweater, and loaded my carry-on into the trunk while she was still upstairs. When she came down, she noticed the garment bag in the back seat. I told her I was dropping off a few things at my mom's place before heading to her parents' house. I said I might stay for coffee for a bit since she would be alone that morning. Lauren frowned slightly, but did not object. She reminded me not to be late. Her dad hates when dinner gets delayed. I said I would keep an eye on the time. About 20 minutes into the drive, she called me. She asked where I was. I told her I was almost at my mom's townhouse. She said her sister had just texted asking what side dish I was bringing. That was when I decided to end the suspense. I told Lauren I was not bringing a side dish. I told her I would not be at her parents' house at all. There was a pause long enough that I checked to see if the call had dropped. Then she asked what I meant. I told her my mom and I had a flight at 11:30. I said we were spending Thanksgiving in Paris. I kept my voice calm and factual. I explained that if my mom did not fit at her family's table, I did not see a reason to attend either. The silence shifted from confusion to anger quickly. She asked if I was serious. I said yes. She asked how long I had been planning this. I told her a couple of weeks. Her tone changed. Not hurt, not reflective, indignant. She said I was making her look ridiculous, that her parents were expecting me, that this was dramatic and unnecessary. I told her excluding my mother was unnecessary too. Then I hung up. I do not like arguing while driving, and I did not want my mom hearing it when I pulled into her driveway. My mom was standing outside when I pulled up. She had on a sensible coat and was holding a small carry-on that looked older than I am. She smiled when she saw me, but I could tell she had been anxious all morning. I did not mention the phone call. I put her suitcase in the trunk and told her we should leave early to account for traffic. She asked if everything was fine at home. I said yes. That was not entirely accurate, but it was not the moment to unpack it. About 10 minutes into the drive, my phone started lighting up. Lauren, then her sister, then her mother. I turned the phone face down in the center console. I do not engage in group outrage. It turns into noise instead of discussion. My mom noticed the screen lighting up and asked if I needed to take it. I told her no. I said today was about us. At the airport, we checked in without issue. The agent upgraded my mom's boarding pass to reflect first class and explain lounge access. My mom looked like she was entering a different world. She kept whispering that this was too much. While we were sitting in the lounge, I finally checked my phone. There were 14 missed calls and a series of texts. Lauren's messages escalated quickly. First confusion, then anger, then accusations. She said I had blindsided her. She said this was manipulative. She said I was punishing her. One message stood out. She wrote that I was choosing my mother over my wife. I stared at that sentence for a long time. From my perspective, I was choosing basic respect over convenience. If the situation were reversed and my family had excluded her for being insufficiently polished, I would not attend either. That seems consistent to me. I typed one response. I said we can talk when I get back. I will not argue over text. Then I turned my phone off completely. When our flight was called, my mom gripped my arm like she was afraid I would disappear. I assured her I was not going anywhere. And for the first time in weeks, I felt certain I had made the right call. The flight itself was uneventful, which is exactly what I wanted. My mom spent the first hour staring out the window like she was trying to memorize the view. When the flight attendant offered champagne, she looked at me for permission. I nodded. She took a cautious sip and laughed quietly at herself. Somewhere over the Atlantic, she finally asked the question she had been holding. She asked what was going to happen when I got home. I told her the truth. I said I did not know yet. I said this was not a stunt designed for reconciliation leverage. It was a boundary. If Lauren sees my mother as an embarrassment, that is information I need to take seriously. My mom worried that I had overcorrected. She said maybe Lauren just needed time. She has always been the type to minimize her own discomfort to preserve peace. I explained that peace built on silent compliance does not last. I told her I had asked Lauren directly if my mom had disrespected anyone. The answer was no. The issue was optics. That matters to Lauren more than intent. When we landed in Paris, my phone connected to international service and immediately vibrated with incoming messages. I did not open them. Instead, I booked a car to the hotel and focused on helping my mom navigate the airport. By the time we reached the hotel, she was tired but smiling. The receptionist wished us a happy holiday. My mom squeezed my hand and said this was the best Thanksgiving she had ever had, and we had not even eaten yet. Later that evening, while she rested, I finally checked my messages. Lauren's tone had shifted again. Less anger, more calculation. She asked when I would be back. She said we needed to discuss priorities. She said her parents were deeply offended. I noticed something missing in all of it. There was no acknowledgement that excluding my mother might have been wrong. That absence told me more than any insult could have. We spent 4 days in Paris without discussing my marriage. That was intentional. We walked along the Seine. We stood in line for museums. My mom insisted on trying to speak basic French even when the staff immediately switched to English. She bought postcards for neighbors. She took pictures of doors and balconies like they were landmarks. On Thanksgiving evening, we found a small restaurant that happened to be serving a holiday menu for American tourists. My mom ordered turkey and said it felt surreal eating it under a painting of Napoleon. At one point she looked at me and asked if I was happy. I considered the question carefully. I told her I was at peace with my decision. That felt more accurate. When we returned home, I did not ambush Lauren. I waited until the next evening after we both had time to reset from travel and work. I asked her to sit down. I told her I needed to understand whether she genuinely believed my mother was beneath her family socially, or whether she had simply prioritized convenience over fairness. I made it clear I would not accept future holidays structured around exclusion for aesthetic reasons. Lauren did not apologize. She said I embarrassed her in front of her parents. She said marriage requires presenting a united front. I agreed. But unity cannot mean compliance. I told her this was the only time I would make my position this clear. My mother will be treated with baseline respect. If that is incompatible with how her family operates, then we will build our own traditions separately. If she cannot accept that, then we have a deeper compatibility issue than Thanksgiving. There was no dramatic shouting. No ultimatums thrown in rage. Just clarity. Right now, we are in counseling. Not because I regret Paris. I do not. But because this revealed something structural about how Lauren views status and perception. I am not willing to build a life where love is measured by optics. And if that makes me unreasonable in her family's eyes, I am fine spending next Thanksgiving somewhere else.